Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's live edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And y'all, we're talking about the Akashic Records today. But I think you're going to hear from a very grounded and empowered way that's also going to take you up and out. There's access, I believe, that we have like never before. And our guest today, Emily Harrison, is just a freaking rock star at her capacity to tune in, explain, give the transmission, empower you to receive your own transmissions, but act as a guide in the process as well. So you're never left alone thinking, what am I doing by myself? Am I doing it right? Am I tuning correctly? Is what I'm seeing and hearing and getting through this interpretation correct? Nah, she's dedicated to making sure that you're completely empowered if you choose to be, to walk forward in that. And so it's gonna be an amazing call. We will get into Q&A, so y'all raise your hand, ask your personal questions, type your questions into the chat box as we go deep. And again, we're gonna go in with Emily. And so Emily is the founder and the director of the Akashic Academy, which is a modern day mystery school dedicated to sharing knowledge that is empowering humanity to find personal freedom through the Akashic Records. By accessing the Akashic Records, people can discover their soul's mission, the root cause of physical and emotional dis-ease, and learn to find unseen solutions to their most challenging life circumstances. I have to mention something that's coming up in the field later, and then we'll dive into it because there's so many things that are happening. Now, working with Emily can include learning to read your own Akashic Records, attending an Akashic immersion retreat to Mount Shasta, quantum jumping into a new timeline, and participating in this creation, the Ether, which is a unique online membership community designed to help you hold the frequency of miracle consciousness. Oh, I believe this is good. And to y'all, happy Valentine's Day. Happy Love Day. Happy Love Day. Happy Love Day, Emily. Welcome today.
Thank you, John. Happy Love Day. Happy Love Day, everybody. You guys feeling the heart energy flowing in already?
Oh my God, it's been flowing in for a couple of weeks now. We're just accessing and opening up to it. It's quite miraculous, I would say. I called the title today Akashic Records Revival in the subject line because it's like there's a renaissance in the Akashic Records. It's like it was really kind of like hot in the field before, and people were talking about it. And it's okay, people they have an understanding. Of course, Edgar Casey talked about it, and it's just there's different awareness of it.
Yeah.
But I'm finding that it's emerging.
Yeah.
Way it's like it's a hot topic again, and a heart-based access.
Yes.
Knowing ourselves. What's happening? What are you noticing?
Well, when it first, I shouldn't say when it first came online, but that first wave you were talking about, John, when people are excited about Edgar Casey and they were very inspired and in awe of this field of intelligence, there was still some mystery to it, but we were starting to understand it and we were recognizing it as this powerful tool, but it wasn't necessarily accessible to everyone at that point, other than through an awareness of, oh, the Akashic Records, that's a mysterious, cool subject to talk about. Now I think we're experiencing this revival because this opening for embodiment for every single human to begin to use it and use it to make course correction in their lives, to expand their consciousness, to step more into their highest potential. The Akashic Records, in my opinion, are the most powerful quantum tool that allows each one of us to do that, because we all develop our own personal relationship with the Akashic Records. It invites us to step into self-leadership with our own innate wisdom in a way that I think is the ticket out of the matrix, out of the areas where we feel disempowered, where we feel enslaved. And this is the mechanism that will allow us to perceive ourselves and our problems, and furthermore, perceive possibilities differently so that we can maneuver differently here in our lives.
Yeah, and the way that you're teaching it, there's like this embodied, empowered again, I called you a rock star earlier, but kind of like that. I got this. I won't call it rebellious, but there's like an
Mm-hmm.
ownership type of
Mm-hmm.
a playfulness, but a groundedness in it as well. Like really being able to take it and to not do heavy lifting the way that we've been doing heavy lifting to heal or to find solutions in other ways, but really
Mm-hmm.
flowing with with that song that's playing that within us and
Mm-hmm.
build along the way, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's like a new evolution of this of a modern day spiritual warrior, which I definitely identify with some Joan of Arc
Mm.
archetype in my life of leading people into freedom. Yet this old way of doing it, where we feel like we're fighting something bigger than us, that's not the ticket. It's about looking within and no longer fighting that's within us, because what we see out in the world that frustrates us, whether it's on the level of our families or our jobs or the government or whatever it is, this is all just a reflection of disharmony that's still within each one of us. So if you want to know the place to do the most effective work to make global change, you've got to look within yourself. This is why this self leadership is so important, and we need a new way to examine ourselves. We can't fight ourselves like the same way that we fight the big establishments out there. We need a gentleness. We need a softness. We need a humor, right? We need a little bit of an edge as we are maneuvering this inner landscape of our shadow, and make the process of reconciling all of our unlearned lessons, our karma, make it fun along the way. I think that's what keeps us inspired to do the work. And it creates this momentum that makes it easier to show up and to be on the planet right now. We've got to have fun and adventure in our lives.
So how do the Akashic records, from your perspective and how you're integrated with it now, how is it revealing, opening those books for us, sharing wisdom of how we're
Mm-hmm.
stepping into that essence, that energy that you're talking about?
Right. Well, I can share with you what it looks like for me.
Good.
And that is, I'm sure guys get downloads out there, feeling the downloads, the energy, the cosmic energy coming in. I was just talking with one of my clients today about he's noticing a bit of a different nuance to the downloads. A lot of times the downloads are cognitive, and he has these aha moments. Right now, he's just feeling these electrical charges of energy, and the interaction of his subtle energy body with the quantum field and all the cosmic energy that's coming in right now. So the first thing I want to just invite everyone to do is tune your awareness to sensations in the body and how the body is receiving downloads right now, because I'm noticing that they are all over the place. Now, once I get these downloads, my clients too, once they get these downloads, what does it look like to begin to interpret these downloads and bring them into um, teaching and wisdom for each one of us, right? So I'll just share with you really personally what that looks like for me. During Conscious Life Expo this past weekend, where I got to meet you in person, John, which was fantastic, I was not expecting, because I was there as a speaker, and it had my team, and we had a mission and a vision and certain topics of conversation that we wanted to share. And I knew that I was going to go to some other workshops, and I definitely was going to be in the company of some amazing thought leaders and visionaries in the field. But I wasn't necessarily expecting my own activation, like these downloads that I'm talking about, right? These electrical sensations that move through your body. And I got so many of them this weekend. So first it's about receiving that energy. Then I notice what my thoughts are afterwards. Because in the time, that you're processing, you go through your human, just whatever it is that you're doing next in life. For me, it was going to dinner and then going back to my room. And I'm noticing the thoughts that are coming up in my mind. I'm noticing the conversations that I'm having. All of this is beginning to reveal the wisdom, the downloads, the cosmic energy that's coming in, that's inviting us to look at our lives and see, where do we get to embody more love, more wisdom, more potentiality. So as I look at the circumstances that happen in my life after those charges, those downloads of energy, the circumstances give me clues as to what's going on. And so after Conscious Life Expo, I'm noticing that my thoughts and the conversation is around, how do I move into more simplicity in my life? And how do I increase the level of love that I'm feeling in every moment? And so these are the themes, right? So now I've had the downloads, now I've got the themes, and then I continue to walk the path of my normal everyday human life. And for me, it looks like being a mom and getting up and getting my kids ready for school, which after a lot of travel myself and some snow coming in and some weather, we were late this morning, and I got frustrated with my kids as they're going out the door. And I literally see them for maybe 15 minutes. They're teenagers, so they're up in their rooms getting ready before they're out the door. And the house was not calm. I was gruff with them because I have all these reasons why, right? I'm tired of it. But no, John, I got to see instantaneously where I am not up leveling in terms of holding more love and keeping my life really simple, right?
Mm.
And so that's how it unfolds for me. Is it feels really amazing. I'm getting all these things in my body, and then I notice what my thoughts are thinking, and I've got, okay, these are the themes I'm going to work on, and then I mess it up. And there's a moment where I'm seeing, oh, okay, here's what's not working. And I want to invite everyone else out there who, if you learn similarly and you learn through, you feel like, oh, okay, I'm getting it, starting to make sense, I'm going to rock this, and then you mess it up. That messing up is an important part of the process for you to see the old paradigm of what you're leaving behind and what's not working. And so that's why I think it's so important that we have some humor and gentleness with ourselves as we're going through the process, because it's not seamless. You know, the Akashic Records, yes, they're going to bring into your awareness what you need to work on. But is it seamless? No, the path feels a little like this, like we're going up and down along the way. I hope that helps bring it down to earth in a way that everybody can understand that, like I said, it's not always flawless, the experience.
No, but if we really think about it, there is grace to it.
There's grace to it, yes.
If we receive it as grace, is as where we catch that discordance that lives inside of us. It's like, wait, that's uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Let me redirect my perspective and my actions based on my perspective into what it is that I do want to feel and create, and would love others to receive from me. That adjustment and the energetic output can happen just as quickly as you noticed it. Because sometimes when those things happen, my God, if that would have happened 10, 15, 20 years ago, hold on to resentment, pissed off your kids, take it off, and get out on them later. It's like, and bring it up 6 weeks afterwards for something that they totally forgot about, that you're still holding something on. Is just like that ongoing poison that we keep taking. Doesn't solve anything, and we're getting to it that much so quickly.
Oh, I love the way you said that too. The grace changes the output, how much energy we have to output to make the quantum leap. Right? So now I've been able to make this quantum leap into a higher frequency, but it didn't take all of that energy output. The grace allowed me to see and course correct and shift in a way that I think this is the kind of learning and growth that we've been asking for. Something not quite as severe as we've experienced in the past.
For sure. I have a question for you, and I want to invite everyone in the audience to relate this, and I'm so curious your experience. It was, how long has it been since the first time you're on the show? It's been over a year, right?
I don't think it's been over a year. I think it's been like 6 months, John.
No, okay.
Yeah. I think it's
Oh my God, I feel
like
like I've known you for like 10 years.
I know.
6 months, that's crazy. Okay. All right. Time doesn't matter. The first time I had a reading with you, we reached out and we were communicating. It's like, oh, I have to have a reading. I really want to feel what you're bringing through, and want to be able to relate to it so we can translate it onto the show, make sure that it's really in alignment for the intention that we have of really having high standards for the frequency that we transmit from this broadcast. It's in my opinion, I do my humble best to bring that forward. Um, Before I had my reading with you, the week before I had a reading with one of the most amazing psychic readers that I've ever had a session with. And she went in and she went deep and she was explaining these things that were coming up, that were unfolding, what was coming through next, opportunities that were presenting themselves, what was clearing in the field, because we're always adjusting and up leveling in different ways. And bringing awareness to something that I was noticing, but because it's happening to me personally, I don't see in the periphery as much. And
Mm.
I think that's why so many of us love getting readings or love immersing ourselves
Yes.
in energy
Mm-hmm.
for that confirmation. And there's an acceleration in it as well. So her reading was absolutely phenomenal. I was raving about it. Well, here you come a week later, and we get on the Zoom call and we go in and you just start and you go into my records
Mm-hmm.
and you, not the exact same words, but the
Mm-hmm.
exact same points on the timeline, if you will, the exact same information, the confirmation of what was coming through, what was evolving, what's potentially on the other side, how to get there, the opportunities, what I can
Mm-hmm.
do to be present with it was so in alignment
Mm.
with what that person showed me. And I was blown away. First, I'm blown away that the information is consistent from two people who have no conversations
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. I was in a I was in a shop today playing. They had like 10 different tarot decks, and I was pulling cards. And from 3 decks, I pulled 3 cards, and from all 3, I pulled 2 of the same cards. When the information is for you, it's for you. But it's
Right.
also who's pulling the information. My point of this, my question to you, how much has working with the Akashic and having a different relationship with it allowed you to attune to be able to interpret, to receive, translate
Mm-hmm.
um, information for other people like you did for me? How much do you credit that to working with the Akashic? How much do you feel is innate? And do you feel that other people, through opening up this gift, this mechanisms to work
Mm-hmm.
in that way, can they open up to those type of gifts as well?
Oh, yes. Oh, those are all great questions. Okay. So, first of all, is it innate? It technically, yes, it's innate in everybody.
Mm.
But you will not hear me telling the story of feeling like I was born into this planet very awake and having experiences at 2 years old where people were in awe of my psychic experiences. I might have had a few here and there, but I was not a psychic child that, was blowing everybody away with my skills by any means. And I do feel like um, everybody can do this. The Akashic Records, I think they're, I think for me, they're the best entry point when it comes to getting information. Because there are a lot of different places in the field where we can read information. So the Akashic Records, for me, hold the highest frequency of non-biased information. Like sometimes if we're reading information off of somebody's field, it can be more altered by their human experience, which may not hold their highest potential. If they have limiting beliefs, we're not going to see in their field as much potentiality as we'll see in the Akashic Records. So I would say the Akashic Records don't necessarily help me or help anyone get information more clearly. Very clear high level information is available. Depending on how much time you devote to the process of being a master of this space, more a master of your own imagination, really, right?
Mm.
The space is the space. It's how are you going to tune your imagination to get the information. And so at the core of that question there, John, which is how does one sharpen, or how have I sharpened this skill to be so good at what I do, and can everybody do it? I don't think it's innate. I think the Akashic Records help. I think what it is a devotion to understanding practical methodology of what it means to be intuitive. Because for so many people, it's so mysterious of what intuition is. And in the training, and then this is not going to be new information for anyone, but I think I've just been given a way to relay it in a way that's repeatable and easy and it makes sense. But we have to tune in our clair senses. We have to turn on our imagination and be present to what pops into my mind. So if I'm giving you the reading and you're asking the questions, yes, I'm listening to the question, but I'm also opening my imagination to see what pops in simultaneously as you're talking to me. And once I begin to understand the difference between these clair senses, there's clairvoyance, which is, oh, I see it, I see something, or maybe a color, or clairaudience, I hear a feed coming in. Clairsentience, I feel something. Claircognizance, I know it. Well, they all begin to work in unison once you use them consistently every day, multiple times a day. And so for me, it's just the fact that I tune into my imagination and I trust my imagination. I trust the process. Like, we're shooting for this highest realm of intelligence. So I've set my intention that that's what I'm going to get. That I'm opening my heart and surrendering all of Emily's crap, leaving it over there, just being present here with John. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm noticing what's coming back into my imagination. That's my Houdini secret sauce behind what I do.
Mm. How do you teach others to do what you do?
Start by breaking down the clairs so that we can understand what they are and how they work. We have an awesome free training for that, by the way. If anybody, and I have a sense that your audience here, you guys know the clairs. You know what they are. You know how to use them. I think that this could be valuable for y'all if you want to practice and understand your clairs more, or you want to brush up on them. But I will also encourage this audience in particular to keep going. We've got a powerful group out here that can work at a really high level. Starts with the clairs, learning the basics of how to communicate in the higher realms. It's through your imagination. Then you learn the basics of how do you tap into the Akashic Records. Here's the short answer. Become a vibrational match. Yes, you can say a prayer. There's a prayer you can say. Yes, you can sing your way in. The very first Akashic Record session I had, the woman sang a beautiful, it might have even been light language that she sang and opened up the records. People stumble in during dream time. The repeatable methodology that I use involves visualization, breath work, oming, creating a vibrational frequency from within. But the goal is to raise your vibrational frequency so that you can see yourself and others and your life through a perspective of unconditional love and zero judgment. Mm. That means you're going to have to be willing to leave behind however you're seeing it right now. Because however you're seeing it right now is keeping you stuck. What you defend, you get to keep. All right. So no use bringing that into this space with you. You must be able to surrender your perspective. But once you do, and you become a match for God mind, and we begin to see ourselves and our challenges and our life through God mind, the way we think about ourselves changes. The way we think about our life changes. And thoughts are the most powerful force in the universe. Thoughts are the building blocks of creation. If you've studied the 7 Hermetic principles, you know the first principle is the principle of mentalism. The universe is mental in nature. So if you can change the way you think about yourself, the way that you think about your problems, you see your problems, you're going to start evolving so rapidly. That's the key.
I love what you're bringing in. And I love the prayer, the invocation, the process. And again, the thoughts, amazing. And there's another component, and you carry this so naturally because of the way that you show up. A lot of us that people are guided to is like, we want to learn from you or read for us, we hold space for us. It occurs so we become aware and it just becomes innate eventually. Perhaps it was really imprinted in some people from the very beginning. But the key, it's like, what is the intention of the prayer? What is the intention of the
Mm-hmm.
invitation?
Yes.
Are we
Yes.
holding because we are fixing something that's broken? Do we have a judgment against something? Are we asking something to come down to save us from a pain, and we're asking and invoking from that place? Or are we showing up in reverence and side by side
Mm.
to that which we're asking to be in relationship with? And
Mm-hmm.
there's and opening up to the clears from that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
it's a game changer. The power of the thought, alchemizing from that thought, that raises your access exponentially
Yes. Yes.
to different layers of the Akashic
Yes.
that perhaps we couldn't quite see, even though it was there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What's been your experience with that when people have tried to access it, but again, there's like a manipulation or a desperation or something that seems to be discordant um, within the field of what they're trying to create or uncreate?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and this can happen a lot because we're humans and we're fragile and vulnerable, and we're coming from a space where we've got trauma, and a lot of us have done a lot to move that and shift it and heal it, and we want relief from it, right? And so, first thing I think is just being really gentle with people when they're in that space. We do need to course correct and shift some things so that they can get the intelligence and what they want, but they have to realize that they're the ones who need to shift, right?
Mm.
And if our defenses are already going up, like, why am I not getting the information? We gotta start with some gentleness, just really gentle, calm. Okay, breathe. This must be challenging for you. I can feel it's really challenging. Okay, let's look at the question. And there's nuance to the questions that we ask. That's part of what I think makes someone really good at maneuvering in the Akashic Records, either for ourselves or for others. And that is understanding the importance of the questions that we're asking. Because a lot of times we're asking questions that we don't necessarily really want the answer to, or it's not the specific enough question that will lead us to the answer. Like sometimes it's just, which is the better choice for me? Well, we have to define better. Like what is better for you? So there's some nuance to this. And
I'm
it's
smiling because there's also, I know the answer, but I want someone to give me a different answer because I don't like the answer that I already know.
okay, fair enough. There's that too. There's that
Um,
too, right? And so it's again, the records show up with a lot of grace. And when I'm working with people, I find that my guides inspire me with a lot of grace to find other ways to go about addressing these situations. So we shift the question a little bit. Let's maneuver the question here. Let's go back to what is there for me to learn in this situation. And anytime we can come back to something that we get to learn, as humans, we're excited about learning. Innately, we like to learn and to grow and expand. And so if we can get some excitement in there about the lesson and where we get to up level, then we're shifting that energy. There's not so much resistance, and we're moving back into an excitement, a motivation, a desire to move forward. And you can't really trick the records because they're an energetic match, right? You have to unlock them through our energy. And if you don't have a true desire to move forward in something, they're not going to unlock for you. So let's shift the question a little bit and let's get you excited about the process and the journey of evolution. Again, because when we're in resistance, we're no longer excited about the journey. We're exhausted. We're frustrated. We need to pause. We need to get a little love. We need to recharge our systems back up, and we need to go try again. And there are going to be times along the way when that's what the journey looks like.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's what it is. And the beautiful part about that, Emily, is that we don't have to do it alone.
You don't have to do
It can seem overwhelming and see like we're solo, but there's so much support. And again, and that's why I love bringing you on this show also, because not just your capacity to explain, to transmit what's available and really ground it in, because it is accessible.
it. Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely accessible, but your capacity to show up and guide people and hold their hand and also
Mm-hmm.
call into their mastery, because you hold that high standard of where people can go with this. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's so important, because so many times I see that people are shown baby steps. And it's like, okay, I'm not sure if you can get this. Let me show you the baby steps. And people are thinking that they're mastering something there, and their capacity to go can be so
Mm-hmm.
much greater if we don't have a judgment of what they can receive. And you just blow it open, and what you see as potential in the people that show up in community for you. So that's
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
I had a question that came in, and we're going to get into Q&A in a little bit, and we're going to get
Awesome.
into Emily's special offer here on BTO, because it's teaching you how to empower yourself with this.
Yes.
Um, it's wonderful. So Zoom has gone to users, and they've taken off names. Y'all, I think if you click on your name, you can type in your name manually. I think you
I
can do
had
that.
to.
Um, and that way I can call on you a lot easier. But if not, we'll deal with numbers and we'll figure it out. But someone's asking, oh, you were going to say something, Emily?
Yeah, I don't have my glasses on, and I thought that it was saying Uber, and I thought, oh my gosh, you got a lot of people out like in their Ubers right now.
Other
No, these
Uber
are all the
people.
users.
We market to the
Got
Uber
it.
community. That's our jam. Um,
Don't text and drive. Don't text and drive.
user 635 is asking, do you find it easy to ask your own questions or questions for others? Let me rephrase that. Do you
Okay.
find it as easy to ask your own questions, ask questions for others? Is it the same or at all different?
Great. There are a couple questions in there, and great questions. Thank you for asking. I personally do find it as easy to get my own answers for myself as I do for others. But like John said, sometimes I don't like what the guys have to say to me. And I know that, and I also get to the point where I'm in my own resistance about things, and I'm not ready to hear what the thing is yet. And so I'm not going to get the highest level information. So I do have a very human part of myself that's going through this process as well. And my human, it's awesome. She teaches me so much. I'm very gentle with her because she teaches me along the way, even though she sometimes it feels like she's a little stubborn, right? But not everybody feels the same way. When I'm first training people to read their records, we work a lot in your own individual records. So you'll get a familiarity with what that feels like. And it feels weird when you're in someone else's records.
Yeah.
Right. And so there is a different energy when we are in either the records of another person or another being or another entity. Our crystals have Akashic records as well. So I do notice that there's a difference between when I'm in different records. John, there was one other part of that question. Can you just remind me?
Is it just as easy to read your own as it is others?
Mm-hmm.
And is there any difference in the way that you feel it?
Yeah, and I would say to talk about like the unique differences. I mean, that's a little bit more challenging because each one is unique. Like it's like being with an actual person. Each person has their own individuality, their own energy frequency, the way that they look, the way that they sound, the way that they come across. Um, yeah, so it's just like meeting a lot of different new people, I would say.
Hmm. And how do you deal with that as someone who reads the Akashic, someone who does sessions, and as someone who opens up the space in your trainings for a lot of other people also? Because I would
Mm-hmm.
imagine it's quite a soup when you're training a lot of people and they're accessing records.
Mm-hmm. I take a lot of showers. I have to clear my field
A lot of
at the end,
sage, a
right?
lot of
And
tuning
to keep my
forks.
field clear because it is like I feel like I'm working in a lot of energy, a lot. But here's the amazing thing about the Akashic Records, and they have this way. I don't know how to explain this to you all, but we have all made soul contracts to come together in this lifetime and learn together. And so when I do have a room of people who are learning, or I have a master class of people who are learning, I can trust that those souls have agreed to come together and to support each other in that time space continuum. And yeah, the bigger classrooms, those bigger sacred containers look and feel different as well, and can be a little more challenging to make sure that we keep the energy cohesive and flowing in those spaces. And my team and I, we got to practice on rooms of 100 people and more this weekend at Conscious Life Expo. But there's definitely art to it. And there's a beautiful agreement of souls to come together before we even start that support the process. You guys are supporting each other in that process.
Yeah, and part of the training that you do for, you call it beginners, but it's anything but. It's like, yes, it's accessible, but you really go deep in it. And I'm assuming like holding your space, clearing the field, being aware, really showing up for that aspect all Valentine's Day. Yes, love, but self-love. And that's and honoring that, because as you open the fields either for yourself or for others, there's a lot that can come flooding or streaming in. And so knowing how also to attune our bodies to calibrate to high frequency, discern information, what's mine, what's theirs, what's coming from something else that is that I'm learning how to interpret in the most beautiful way. It's important. And speaking of that, Emily, do you ever tap into the Akashic and you get, it's like you're reading from something that doesn't feel like it's benevolent, or every time that you're in the Akashic, is it truth that's streaming through? Are you accessing something like, I don't know if I kind of want to go to that page or what's presented over there because I'm not trusting right now. It doesn't feel good.
So, there's not any information in there that is that can, it's like there's nothing that can harm us, but we can harm ourselves with it, right? Because we can, how we can take things and how we can interpret things. So if there ever is a sense of and for the Akash is love and light and purity and truth, okay? So if there ever is something that doesn't feel good to me, it feels like it's more malevolent, like you said, or something that I don't really want to mess with. Honestly, it's more because it's beyond my personal understanding and it's beyond my scope of my genius zone of how I get to show up on this planet and work in the field. And I don't necessarily look at it as fear. It just doesn't pique my curiosity or my interest, if that makes sense. Although I can see how things could be interpreted as fearful if we're not meant to go in that direction. You know, it's like sometimes our human can get distorted, and there's distortion. I learned some really interesting things that fill in some gaps about just why it's so challenging on the planet right now too, at Conscious Life Expo, John. And there were multiple speakers who talked about the stargates and the connection points in the galaxy that are connected to the Earth, which are also connected to our body, right? These stargates and these portals and these openings, how they've been distorted, and that can distort the intelligence as it's coming in. And I would just encourage everyone out there, leave behind fear mind. If there's something out there that you feel like you're afraid of or that's malevolent, give yourself the opportunity to just say, hey, maybe I'm just not interested in that. Maybe that's just not where I need to put my attention. Rather than playing into this story of it being bad or us being based in fear, like any kind of a fear baseline frequency. So when we truly hold that frequency of peace, love, and joy, you're not going to be afraid of anything. You're just not going to be interested in it. You're just not going to care. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And that actually came up for me in ceremony before I was at Conscious Life Expo with you, where I got into these amazing, super conscious aspects of the totality of love and how expansive it was. And I got to loop back around into all the places where in the past I've judged where love wasn't. And I got into some really dark energies and I recognized them as dark energies, but I didn't judge them as being wrong. All I could do was send them love. It's like, oh, I see you. And not sending them love to try to heal them or to try to make them better, but I actually see the light in you also. It's like, and it was
Excellent.
the fear that came through. And y'all, have I seen these energies 10, 15 years ago? It would have been pretty intimidating. Pretty intimidating.
Mm.
This time I was so present with the truth. And again, I find that when I'm interpreting from a place of fear, that it's something within me that's resolving. That's something in the judgment of what's
Yes.
in front of me that I need to fight
Yes.
or fix or make right because it's wrong. And that's
It's just resolving.
it's resolving. It's pretty profound. So again, if we show up and we're feeling fear, I love what you're saying. Hey, it's just I don't have to be there, and it's not for me, and I can just choose no. But also how wonderful it's like, oh wow, shit, fear. Okay,
Yeah.
we breathe into it. Let me let me know. Let me know. Let me remember that God also walks in that which I'm seeing.
Ooh. Yes.
Let me remember
Yes.
that. And if you can remember that, it's a whole new ball game. We're not interacting with these wars that we're fighting within ourselves. We're leveling up the consciousness of not only what's possible for us, but what we're wishing to experience in the world.
Mm.
It's so powerful what comes through this. And you hold that space so masterfully, Emily. And you teach people to hold that space so
Mm.
masterfully. Y'all, I want to get into Q&A. Before we do that, Emily, we have to get into your course because this is
Okay.
it's it's ridiculously accessible for what's being shared here, and it's an empowerment
Mm-hmm.
tool, y'all. This is you expanding and being with an elevated way on how to have a relationship with those teaching, guiding
Mm-hmm.
energies, beings, intelligences that are helping us to answer our own questions. What's my life purpose? How am I supposed to be of service? How do I bring in more abundance? How do I align with something that I know exists within me, but it isn't showing up? And I've looked everywhere. Please help me. It's all of those things. But the way that you access, Emily, and the way that you teach other people to access, it gives them that and so much more. They learn how to do
Mm.
it. You teach them so well. So I'll click on the special offer link on the webpage that you're watching this from. Just go below the video and you'll find the special offer page. The link is also in the chat box. It's a blue link in the chat box. Click on that page. And Emily, if you would guide us through what everybody's going to receive by participating in this $97 offer.
Yes.
Like amazing.
Well, let me start thematically. Simple and fun. This is going to be a repeatable methodology that you can use from this point forward for the rest of your time here on this planet to tap into innate intelligence, ask questions, and get reliable, repeatable answers. Okay. You are also going to begin asking the questions that are going to open up your highest potential timeline. How many of you care about mission and purpose here on the planet? You want to feel like you're fulfilling that. How many of you want to experience the greatness that is destined for you? It's designed for you. It's here for you if you choose to take it. How many of you want to experience that? We are moving into a time in our evolution where we have a convergence of our power, our intelligence from all of our lifetimes that we can bring through right now and wake up and remember the truth of who we are. And we can claim a destiny, a freedom, something that we haven't yet experienced for ourselves. This is what I call playing big, playing at the height of your potential. And for those of you who want to understand more about what that is, You begin asking those questions in this training. You begin, I say begin because you're going to ask the questions, you're going to get the information coming back, but there is a devotion that you're being invited into. There is an initiation, an anointment, a new way of showing up as the God, goddess version of yourself and your life that you're being invited into. My experience with the Akashic Records are when they present in your field, for those of you who say, yes, this is the gateway, this is the threshold, that when you show up, they meet you where you are, and life changes from this point because you are activating the highest level of intelligence within you. I think I feel complete about what the guys wanted to say. Let me break it down into like some 3D information of what you guys are going to get. There are 5 video modules. Okay, they're less than an hour. So you could potentially do this entire training in 1 week. You could do it over the course of a couple of weeks if you wanted to spread it out. But if you have a total of 5 hours over the next, I'm going to say 5 weeks, you can learn how to tap in to this innate intelligence and get instantaneous downloads. So you're not waiting for the next aha moment to drop in. There's a workbook that comes with this also, specific questions that you're going to ask as you go through the training modules, and you can move at your own pace. For those of you who do want to have some personal contact with me, I hope you do. I like hanging out with my students every Friday, almost every Friday, unless I'm traveling. We have office hours. So you can come join me and the other students and my team inside office hours. You'll get the Zoom link once you sign up. So if you want to come in and ask course-related questions, you can spend some time within our sacred container.
This is wonderful, Emily. And I love what you wrote here also, because this, how many of y'all can relate to this? I know I do. I've go through periods of it, and I find there's something that's germinating within me through I go these periods, but I also know that as I apply different tools and immerse myself also in an environment where that resonance is held high, for example, these live Zoom calls and these communities, that it helps us to attune and to remember when it seems like we start to forget. So I love what you wrote here. If you're a visionary or quantum thought leader and suffer from losing connection to the wisest aspects of yourself, been there, done that, losing patience, waiting for your intentions to manifest. I'm sure all of y'all, okay, most of y'all have experienced it. Recurring karma in the form of disease in your health, wealth, relationships, or business. I certainly have patterns that it's like, oh, there I go. Dang. Wow. It's not them, it's me. I'm in the pattern. Right? It's me. It's me. Wonderful. Self-doubt and making powerful decisions. Do I move here? Am I really doing there? It's like, am I really starting up this healing business? Really, am I leaving this job, or why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Overthinking too. Overthinking can stop us from making powerful decisions.
Yeah. Lack of trust in the vision or messages you're receiving because they don't seem logical, or even because other people might judge them because they may not seem logical, right? Or just feeling stuck in your personal growth. I love that you address all of this, Emily, because it's so relatable. And all of us, I'm sure, have experienced a version of this, if not every version of this, like me.
Oh, me too. I mean, that's where the creation and the teaching comes from, is, hey, let me share with you how I get over these things myself, how I move past them with the help of the Akash. Yeah.
And then when you talk about it here, it's like when you align to your super conscious intelligence through your Akashic records. What's the super conscious intelligence? Tell us a little bit more about that. And I'm going to jump back on the page, y'all.
So yeah, I look at super conscious intelligence as this is the intelligence we're tapping into inside of the Akashic records. Akash is a Sanskrit word that means ether. Ether is primordial energy, and it is the if we looked at the Chinese elemental philosophy, Akash is that 5th element from which all the other 4 elements, earth, wind, water, fire, all stem from that space, the Akash. Another interpretation is the book of life. Another interpretation is the mind of God. Another interpretation is superconscious intelligence. This is a mathematical matrix of all possibilities, right? Of all the possibilities that we could experience. And when we tap into superconscious intelligence and allow that to direct us into our highest timeline, that's where we just move into this flow state where we can manifest very quickly. We become magnetic to that which we need and desire to experience on this planet and what we need and desire for our mission. And it requires a certain level of surrender, because there will be aspects along the way that don't make that logical sense, right? And that we are required that's what part of this magical journey looks like. So when you get to that stage on your journey where you're required to surrender what doesn't make logical sense, I want you to remember, oh yeah, this is part of it. I don't need to freak out. I should expect this along the way. And then when you're ready, you might refuse the call. You know what? You might refuse the call the first time in the hero's journey. Sometimes we refuse the call. That's okay. But the next time, maybe you won't. And you just remember, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. And that you don't have to do it alone.
Absolutely. So what can someone expect? They're diving in from beginning to end. If they're going in and they have some basic information, maybe they've been practicing what's made accessible to them as they're diving into what you're sharing and what you're teaching and the practices that you're giving and the field that you're holding?
Well, the big secret, again, the Akashic Records, you've made an agreement with the Akashic Records to show up with each other at this point in time. And it's not just so that you can learn the Akashic Records because it's cool. There's something much bigger. There's a bigger invitation of stepping into your potentiality that you're being called into. So what I would tell you to expect is a timeline shift.
I love that.
Yeah, expect things to get real. Expect this to be the moment that you've been waiting for, where you get to self-initiate.
Wow.
I don't like people to sign up for this and it just to be another training that's in their inbox.
Thank you.
Along the way. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this is powerful. Again, it's over $300 normally. It's Emily's offering it here for $97. Y'all dive in. It's powerful. The records are real. And I find that they're being activated more. There's a Egypt that's coming. There's the halls of Amenti, which hold the Akashic. I'm finding I'm having awareness of something awakening there, and that awareness is just confirmed by other, I'll call them luminaries, who are tapping into something very similar of what is, I'll call it bubbling up in consciousness for us to have a relationship with it in ways that we haven't before. What's been your experience with that, Emily?
Well, first of all, I just love, did you say luminary or illuminary? I wasn't sure which, you said luminary. Right? What a beautiful word. And yes, I definitely am noticing that there seems to be an activation of more accessibility in the Akashic Records. And what I'm linking that to right now in the moment that the guides are giving me some confirmation on is that there is a copy of the Akashic Records held within our DNA. And as our DNA illuminates and we have access to more through our human biology, it just becomes naturally more accessible and embodied. And the other thing is that we don't all call it the Akash or the Akashic Records. So don't get confused if you think you see this working in the world or in other people, and they don't call it the Akash. Don't let that allow you to create separation. Call it whatever you want. There is an innate intelligence, a consciousness that is available for us, and we're raising our frequency enough where we can access it and we can use it for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. And you will see a ripple effect of this happening on the planet if you look and you tune in and you focus your awareness in the right places. Like I talked about Conscious Life Expo, like the trip to Egypt that John is talking about. Put yourself in the frequency of what's moving and shifting in the highest potentiality on the planet. Stop tuning into the news and the things that are showing you the false matrix and the Maya or the illusion. Stop tuning into it.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Y'all, the course, it's available. Click on the blue link in the chat box, click on the special offer button right underneath the video, and let me mute people who aren't muted. And y'all dive in with Emily in the live Zoom calls also. Office hours, as Emily calls them, to be able to interact with her own community. It's part of the special offer as well. So it's, again, super high value. So excited that this is being made available to all of us. And with that, Emily, can we dive into some Q&A?
Yeah, let's Q&A. I love Q&A.
All right, let's start. Let's go, Jenny. Let's go to you first. Hi, Jen. And let's get you to unmute your microphone, Jen.
There we go.
There you go.
Thank you, John. And thank you. Wait, I have to see her name because now I can't even remember her name.
Emily.
Emily. Hi, Jen.
Hi. So, Emily, I feel like I have just closed a long 50-year contract with the death of my brother. And I'm just wondering, you know, what's next? I'm patient, but I know what I want is for it to be a hell yes. Like there's no doubt what my next job or what my next help to the world or family.
So simplify is what the guides are bringing in through you two right now. And for everybody, complexity in our life creates distortion. And I feel like there's also some processing that is still being invited for you to do, Jen, regarding the passing of your brother, because there's a lot of things swirling around in your mind right now about the stories and the lessons and what ancestral, trauma is being buried with this. And
I didn't realize I asked that one.
I guess maybe in your heart you are, and the guys are just
Right.
bringing it through. But they want
Exactly.
you to address these things because it's creating complexity in your mind, and that's creating complexity in your life. So the thoughts that we have, if we are having a lot of thoughts that don't feel like they're compartmentalized, or that we've closed loops on things, if we feel like we've got open loops still, it creates chaos in the mind, which is going to create an anxious feeling within us. And when we're feeling the anxiety, our animals know. And then the field begins to respond because we have free will to create whatever we want. When the anxiety starts coming, the field will show up and we'll create circumstances in our life that are a lot of things to deal with, and this and that, and just complexity. And we can't ever hear the hell yes through the complexity. Okay. So
Understood.
give yourself some time to bring the complexity down, come back into simplicity. And then, but it's there. And the guides are saying, you also already know it. You're just waiting for, sometimes, and John, we were talking about why we go get readings, and it's good to have that help and that confirmation, the peripheral. Sometimes we're waiting for that confirmation outside of ourselves. And the guides are saying the hell yes only comes from when you can go fully hell yes within. But what you're looking for the hell yes, and there's this little bit of a hint of it. And if it could be confirmed by someone out here, then you could give yourself that permission for the hell yes. But they say the hell yes has to come 100% from you.
Nice. Thank you. That's really helpful. I really appreciate this.
My pleasure. Thank you for receiving that.
I'm curious, Emily, how you would open up to your hell yes person, because a lot of times when we're not stepping into it, there's this valve of pressure that needs to be just relieved so that we can relax into the grace that's coming through an intelligence that we have, forcing an intelligence to guide us in a particular way, and we're so tight because we're trying to use propulsion as a way to manifest something.
Yeah. So, and I get in those places too. So now what I do is I notice, oh, I'm in that place. So I need to, again, dial back the complexity. I know in order to hear or get the messages that are coming in, I need spaciousness. So that means I've got to calm down. I've got to do more quiet, simple, restful activities, bringing my mind into a place of meditation, not where I'm trying to get the answer in that moment. I'm just working on being quiet, working on being still. That's one of the first things for me. And then there's something else in there. I lost it. I'm going to get it back though, because always the things that I lose that blip out of my mind are the best. Come back, you. Yes. It's the adjustment of the question or the intention, right? So a lot of times the intention around the hell yes, I don't know what it is. I want the hell, I don't know. So I switch, I don't know, for I am willing to be guided. By changing the question, it's changing the entry point. When I notice that I don't know the answer to something, I stop noticing that I don't know the answer to something, and I start noticing I would like to know the answer to that. I'm willing to be guided, and see how there's a different energy, and that's the opening that we need. And so if you don't have a hell yes, maybe you're blocking it because you're in I don't know energy rather than I am willing to be guided. I'm in that energy still too.
I am willing to be guided, y'all. That's a conversation y'all have heard a lot on this show for sure, because I love talking about it. It's not about doing, it's about being, and the beingness and being guided. And then as well, we're meeting it there. And then we know what our next action, where we're taking that next step. I love the way that you dive into this. It's so good, Emily. Thank you so much for your question. Let's continue. Mary Elaine, can we get you to unmute your microphone? And please, what's your question for Emily? Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
You know, I still resonated with so many things you said today, but what I've paid attention to last night, I had two different shoes on. I looked that up and it was a positive connection. And then today I got her in, wasn't a positive thing, but actually, you know, what's the, you know, is there an important message in these symbols?
It was cutting out a little bit there, John. I think what I gathered is I heard the part about Mary showed up and she had two different shoes on.
Right.
And then did it happen again? And she's wondering, is there a message in these
There's some symbolism that's coming up. It was hard for me to hear also, Mary. We'll try to answer, and if you want to type any clarification into the chat box, that might help. I think if we try to do it on video again, it's just going to be choppy again and be difficult for all of us to receive.
I'm getting
Sorry.
Just tapping a little more in.
It's a dream that I'm wearing two different shoes.
Oh, the dream was that you were wearing two different shoes. Okay. Okay, so that makes sense. Why I felt like I was getting a couple of different interpretations here. So the fact that I'm getting different interpretations first tells me that your interpretation, Mary, is going to be the most important, right? And that nothing means anything until we assign it value. And they're not talking about just the dreamscape here. They're talking about real life too. Okay, things are meaningless. Situations are meaningless. Money, paper money, meaningless until we assign it value. So how you assign this value is the most important thing. I saw a couple of different things. I saw, first of all, are you noticing that you're rushing and you're not paying attention to details right now? That was one thing that I definitely felt coming in.
Me too.
Right? Another one could be a lesson around caring what people think about you when you show up. And maybe caring what people think about you when you show up and you make an honest mistake. So I would encourage you to do some journaling. I always like to journal too, especially with dreams, because I find that journaling and channel writing for me is one of the fastest ways I can connect to my clair cognizance, clair knowing, like where you just have, where you get like this download about something. Channel writing is a great way to get to that. So I like to just let myself channel write when it comes to dreams. The other thing that I'll say, Mary, that's alive in my field is that work with your dreamscape. If you notice that your dreamscape is teaching you lessons right now, then your dreamscape is a valuable teacher. And I would encourage you and anybody else out there, even if you don't feel like you remember your dreams right now, or they're particularly important, if you just like dreaming, then this message is for you too, because there's so much richness that we can get from the dreamscape. And in order to increase your connection with the dreamscape, you've got to do a dream journal. There are no exceptions to this rule. If you pee your pants, you pee your pants. But you got to write the second you wake up. You can't even get out of bed to go to the bathroom, right? You got to write it down. Otherwise, it begins to evaporate. And if you don't remember what the dreams are, you write how you feel when you wake up. Okay? And if you can't hold it, you just take your dream journal to the bathroom with you as you go. But there are no exceptions to that one. Otherwise, you're gonna lose it. You're gonna lose it too quickly. But there's a lot, and the guys are saying there's a lot being revealed in our dreamscape right now. So if you notice that your dreams are your teacher, let them be your teacher. Encourage that teacher to be able to show up for you by you showing up engaged in that classroom. Okay, cool.
I love that. And dream time also, we get to the timeline in dream, what we get to experience and resolve in dream time.
Yeah.
Then we don't have to play it out in our waking life, which tends to drag out a lot longer. In that consciousness space where you resolve this, it's prolific. What's the information that's available and the choice points that we get access to choose a different path, elevate in different ways, realize our own power, and rewrite our interpretation of stories into the true essence of what's written in the Akashic.
Another way to play with that, and I love that you talked about like changing our choices and playing with our power. What about bringing lucid dreaming online? And when you recognize that you don't have on the same shoes and you wake up within the dream and you know you're dreaming, switch your shoes up, do a little Dorothy move, like there's no place like home, and click your heels together. Then all of a sudden you got a new pair of Jimmy Choos or something. I don't know, but play with, like, there are other ways that you can play with that lucid dreamscape where you are creating and commanding and choosing something different. So that might be another way to play.
Emily, how the Akashic, how by learning how to work or how to have a relationship with the Akashic, how will that help us in these dream spaces, or will it? Or in the interpretation of what's coming through?
Yeah, well, once you, okay, so as you learn to read the Akashic Records, as I learned to read the Akashic Records, I found that I needed to repeat the ceremony or the process to make sure that my vibrational frequency is high. But what you'll notice is if you devote yourself to this work, you're going to cross over a threshold somewhere along the way where you can just get there by being there. And we learn to hold that frequency more. And that bleeds over into the dreamscape as well. So some people find that they can go to school even more viscerally in their dreamscape, like go to the Akashic School or go to the Akashic Records and have an even more visceral experience, right? Because the way that I teach people how to have an experience in their Akashic Records is through the imagination. This is through our subtle energy. And while it can become visceral for many people, it's not necessarily the goal of where we're at right now in our waking 3D life to make this very visceral. I do feel like we're going to get there. But in the dreamscape, it can be. So it can, and what I mean by visceral is it can feel like you are really going to a temple and sitting down with a teacher or an ascended master and beginning to do the work together.
Yeah.
So there's a different kind of experience that we can have in the dreamscape.
It's powerful what comes through. And again, to have these different connections lit up.
Yes.
More toys in our toy chest, y'all.
Yes.
How fun to get to experience and to play with these things. It's not just like, fix something for me. It's like, oh my God, this is bad. Oh my God, I want something better. I don't know how to get there.
Mm.
You also get to the point, it's like, what do I want to play with today?
Yeah.
What's available? Which tool am I pulling out? Where am I going to have fun? And where can I play with other people using this tool as well? So again, we talk about we're accessing, we're uncovering, we're unearthing, we're fixing this, my past life, this. But the playfulness, the excitement, the knowing that you can communicate in this way, and what that alivens within the knowing that we've had all along, we just didn't quite know how to access it in certain ways that we do now.
Right.
And we're even more empowered in it by teachers like Emily and others like her, who are like saying, hey, I can do this and you can do it too, and probably better. Just apply yourself. Yes. So cool. All right, I want to go into more Q&A. Okay. Y'all, the special offer link is April, you knew exactly where I was going. April put the link in the chat box. Y'all click on it. It's $97 for the special offer. It's typically over $300. The special offer link is also right underneath the video where you're watching and listening to this call as well. So open that up and dive into this course of Emily. 5 courses, live calls, the live, what do you call them again? Not the workshops.
Office hours.
Office hours, live office hours.
Yeah, like I'm the I get to be the professor at the Akashic Academy. You come to office hours.
Oh my God, I wish you would have been my professor growing up. It would have been so much fun. I probably would have shown up to class. That's a whole different thing, right? Amazing. Like, in the links in the chat box or underneath the video, y'all take advantage of that. And let's continue here. Okay, I'm going to get to usernames. I get into other callers. We've got plenty of time for calls, y'all, so y'all be patient with me. Layla, I want to welcome you to the call. If you'll unmute yourself, and please, what's your question for Emily?
Hi, thanks, Sean. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
I was in your workshop at Conscious Life Expo, and we had so much fun and gained so much insight. So thank you for that. Today, I want to ask you, what I hear reflected back to me over and over is how hard I am on myself. And I don't really feel like I am, but it keeps being reflected even from my cat. And I'm wondering what you could offer, or what help the Akashic Records could offer.
Okay.
About letting that go.
Okay. So what I was hearing is that according to Earth standards, you are really hard on yourself, and those aren't the best dynamics for a human being to thrive here. But Layla, you've had lifetimes in a lot of other galactic planes where it's like the work is different. In terms of being hard on oneself, it's like the way they're showing it to me is it's almost like you are a galactic warrior, and the expectations of what it takes to play that character at that level are not what is best for a human being, especially as a feminine, beautiful wisdom keeper, high priestess of this energy, is that softer with yourself and gentler with yourself would be better. And the guides are saying it doesn't compute because you're just used to operating in these other like storylines and these other characters where being that hard on yourself is required for success in that mission.
Mm.
So a different question you could ask is simply, how can I be easier on myself? How can I be easier on myself? And ask for the right, it's like calibrating that frequency of where we hold ourselves in discipline and high expectations, along with the gentleness. And the guides are saying we need to be calibrated. We need to be calibrated to the right diet, like the right setting for not only being human, but for the mission that we're showing up to in this human life. And the guides are saying right now, we can just all ask for that calibration. They can't calibrate us unless we ask for it. So unless we know to ask for, hey, calibrate, it's like my warrior spirit with my gentle nature for myself and others. And the guides are saying, anybody who wants to just receive that calibration, we can just say, calibrate me. Sounds good to me, Layla. I haven't heard of this one before, so I'll take it. Calibrate me. You can just breathe and receive that. And it's, the guides did say that, you know, we could flip the question and say, how can I be easier on myself? That's one thing to ask. But here's what supersedes all of it, the guides are saying. 3-4 times a day, y'all, place your hand on your heart, tap in. Hey, body. Hey, Emily. Hey, self. Hey, Layla. What do you need right now? Just tap in. And if we tap in and see what we need in these moments, we're going to calibrate ourselves more regularly and consistently, and we're not going to get so far off base where we can't even see where we're not being gentle or kind enough to ourselves anymore.
All right, Layla, great question. I muted you because there was background noise and we were getting a reverb, so I apologize, Layla. Did you have a comment for Emily? Did you want to unmute yourself?
Only to say that's perfect.
That resonates.
Thank you.
Thank you for receiving that, Layla, and thank you everyone too for receiving.
Thank you for that transmission, Emily. Two things in that. Two things, and the synchronicity is amazing. But we can ask and we can tune in what we want, but y'all follow through, because I tune in a lot into what I need, but sometimes I just don't do it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I'll do it later.
Yeah.
And it comes later, and then it becomes even more later, and then I just wind up burning out, losing my connection, forgetting where I was going, all because I'm trying to keep up with something that isn't in integrity with what my mind and body are really asking me to be in. And I love that you brought this in, because whenever I am in alignment, again, in integrity and right relationship,
Yes.
if I ask and I receive and I ignore, I know what comes from ignoring that eventually. If I ask, I align, I receive, and I'm in relationship with the potentiality that's being invited in, I find myself expanding in ways that go beyond the mind, beyond habit, beyond the doing to try to get something. And I'm finding that I'm more in a symbiotic relationship, not just with the energy that's running through me, but with Gaia, with other people. I have more patience. I have more awareness, and the direct line of that consciousness flows through me without me even to have to ask. It just is. So profound. I love that you shared that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And then the asking, it's like, okay, attune me. Okay, ask me. I'm ready for that next download. Okay, it's time. And last night, it was late in the evening. Must have been 11 o'clock at night. I very strongly, I got asked for the transmission. And I asked for the transmission, y'all, and something shifting inside of me. What are we ready to receive? That all we have to do is ask. Even if we think that we may be ahead of the curve, y'all, we'll catch up. But ask. I can almost guarantee that a lot of us are asking for something that we could have asked for a long time ago. It's like, well, of course, there you go. So tuning into that, it's wonderful, and being in a relationship. And so I love the synchronicity. Again, just how tapped in you are, Emily, and being able to guide in that way. Amazing. All right, let's go to another caller. Let's go to user 354. I wish I had y'all's names on here. It'd be easier, or more personal at least. Yes, welcome.
Hi, John.
What is your name?
My name is Leanne.
Hi, Leanne.
How are you?
Happy to see you. What's your question for Emily?
A great energy tonight from both of you guys, so thank you so much. I wonder what the most important information is for me from my records right now. I did get Emily's package the last time she was on, so I've been practicing, but I haven't had a whole lot of success yet.
Well, let's talk about that. So did you went through all the modules?
I did.
And when you say you didn't get much success, tell me what that is like for you. Or what that
well, obviously I had lots of learning, but I don't really feel like I got into the Akashic Records. I kind of just feel like I make up nonsense.
That's fair. That tracks. So let me ask you this, Leanne, what are you expecting the Akashic Records to feel like when you go in?
I don't know. I guess I think I will just know instead of question.
And what does just knowing look like for you?
It's really just a feeling sense in my body.
Okay. And can you describe that feeling sense even more? You're doing great, by the way, dissecting this.
I don't know if I can describe it anymore. You know when you know. I don't. So yeah, I guess I'd go back to there would be no questioning. It's
okay.
like when something's right for me.
So, well, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for going through that experience and feeling like it's you don't feel like you have 100% clarity yet, and that you are still here in this space. So my hunch is that I would work it a little more before making a determination that it's not right for you. And if you find that you do work it a little bit more and it's not opening up the channel for you, then I wouldn't keep banging my head against the wall. I'd put it down a little bit and maybe go work on just some other aspects of your energy that feel like they're calling your attention. Here are a couple things that I noticed in what you shared with me, is that it felt like we were bouncing back and forth between the claircognizance, the clairknowingness, you know when you know, versus the clairsentience. It's a feeling in my body, and I feel it, and I have a resonance of truth within myself. So what that lets me know is that there's not 100% clarity about the distinction of which sense is working when with you. And so I would encourage you, maybe even you want to go back and really define the differences between those different senses, so that you know when those senses are communicating with you. Because that's the first thing, is that if we don't really know what senses are communicating with us, and we're not sure about what they are, it's hard to trust something that we're not necessarily even sure about. So I would encourage you, start with beginner's mind and check out the intuitive development training that we have, where you're going through the clairs and you're understanding how each one of them works and when it's working for you, because they're all different. And if you can get a handle on which one's working for you at what time, I think you're going to feel more comfortable with the language of communication that happens inside of the records. Because what I'm detecting right now is that you're not really comfortable with like the language that's being spoken. I don't know for sure that I'm in there. And when I talk about language being spoken, it's that communication that happens through the imagination, that sometimes it's in pictures, sometimes we hear it, Sometimes we feel it, sometimes we think it. So I feel if you go back to those clairs and you really sharpen them, you're going to feel more confident trusting them when they're talking to you. Does that make sense?
It does. That makes total sense. And that's exactly what I would describe as well, is because I'm not sure which clair is my strongest or to rely on. And so, yeah, I've had some hesitation to go back and redo it again, but I guess that's what I need to do.
Leanne, are you on Facebook? Or
yes.
Feel free, either one of those platforms, shoot me a personal message on there and I will make sure that we get you the link, and anybody else who wants to take me up on that too, because you're not going to find it through John's offer. I don't want you guys to get confused searching for it anywhere. So just reach out to me on a social media platform, either Facebook or Instagram, and I'll make sure that you get that link for that free training.
Awesome. That would be fantastic.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Leanne. It's what also comes up in these trainings is that we're really being called to something, and sometimes it just takes a little pinprick of light to come in. So if you pull out another tool that you've worked with, like if you're having doubt with information that you're receiving, or it's not coming in clearly, or maybe you're judging it, what can you pull out? Can you sit and just in quietness and just ask, is this right? Do you want a body test? Do you want to check with your body what's true, what isn't true, and tune in that way by using, why can't I think of it, the name of it right now?
Muscle testing, kinesiology. Yeah.
When we muscle test, if I'm maybe not tuning in on trust, maybe I want to sit and just, channel journal for 15, 20 minutes and just write, whatever wants to come through your mind. Ask your guides and allow them to connect, like open up other ways that maybe you have felt comfortable channeling, to let you get a sense of what your truth feels like, again, in your most empowered way that you're comfortable with, but also inviting a new way to be evoked, because that's why you're doing these trainings, not because you're a master at it, because how freaking fun and amazing it is to be in the relational dynamic of the expansion of not just what you've done so well, but what else is possible as you're continuing to evolve. And make no mistake about it, you're continuing to evolve. And if we're not, that's what causes that compression. That's what causes, like, I lost something. That's what's like, we can't hold ourselves back anymore. So the invitation is to keep playing with it. Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, I'm getting a flood of information coming in for you.
Nice.
First of all, I also want to say that's what it looks like. It feels like we're making it up. And until we get comfortable with that's what the process looks like, we can feel like we're doing it wrong, but you're actually doing it right. That's exactly what it's like. It's important that we're in community, because what I'm hearing is that you don't have anybody else in your life to bounce this off of, to be like, dude, I just did this crazy meditation. The guide said this, and I felt like I totally made it up along the way. Does that resonate? You don't necessarily have that kind of community in your life. And then the next, I just wanted to see if that resonated first.
Yes.
Yes. Then the next piece is, do you feel like the community who's around you now, your friends and family, are going to support you if you step into that up level and that version of yourself? And what I'm actually getting is that there's a fear that you don't currently have that construct proven and shown to you that you're going to get that kind of support if you do come up psychic and, hey, I got this crazy vision that came through. No, there, like from your own story, there's fear of being excommunicated from the tribe. So there's no way this class, as fun and as brilliant as it is, there's no way it's going to work, because it threatens your survival in the story that you're in right now, in the storyline that you're in right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, especially maybe not so much my family, but my profession.
Your profession. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, that actually is a very real fear.
Thank you for letting me see that and invite you into that, seeing it too. Courage to know the truth is a big part of this work too. Good job. Good work today, Leanne. That was deep. Did you?
Thanks,
You
Leanne.
stuff move, huh?
Thank you so much.
Okay, y'all, for any of y'all who don't give yourselves permission, some of those visions, I have seen some shit. I have gone places, Emily, I'm sure you can relate. I'm sure a lot of y'all can relate. But I have community, I get to spew on this platform because y'all are like preaching to the choir and sharing stories and like family, like we resonate so beautifully. And so from those visions, whether they're in plant medicine ceremonies, a deep meditation that have taken me to galaxies beyond it, to hold in an angelic presence that, again, the stories are so numerous about what's happened from that point of creation. It's like, who am I to have these experiences? And who's going to relate? Who's not going to think I'm crazy? And who's going to think or make me feel, who am I to have these types of communication? I must be delusional. I can't be right. Why am I special and they can't see it? And if I am so special, can I really own that? Because if I own it, then I'm gonna be isolated all by myself. If I'm holding this place up here and everybody's down here, not a judgment as to one's better or the other, but if I'm here isolated on this island and everybody's here, then why am I even on this planet? I don't want to be alone here. I don't want to be misunderstood. I can't check out to Netflix all day anymore and pretend stuff isn't happening. So just breathing into those places within ourselves, it's like, hey, I got you. And there are others who'll support me, and it could be online, it could be your neighbor, you don't know, but it exists. And the fear of being judged, losing our jobs, being misunderstood, being ostracized. All those are real things. But what's also real is that these conversations are becoming more normal. Much more normal. So much more normal. And the crazy places that I think I've gone, I hear other people's crazy places that they're going, it's like, thank you. It's like, okay, it's not just me. There's something happening. It's popping in the field and it's about freaking time. So Leanne, thank you for your courage and your bravery and sharing. And Emily, thank you for being such a freaking amazing, awesome guide to allow us to step in and transition and evolve through the truth that's evolving through us. So amazing. Y'all, the link for Emily's special offer, we're going to pop it into the chat box one more time. It's at the bottom of the screen. Click on it now because we're about to end the call. I don't want you to miss the opportunity to go deep in the Akashic training and to have these live calls with Emily. And of course, we're going to play the replay all week long. You'll be able to access it always on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. And Emily, are there any final words of love or wisdom or transmission that you'd like to share before you end tonight's call?
I just want to invite everyone to drop into the heart, the intelligence of the heart space right now. And bringing the awareness just right into the intelligence of the heart, where converging, focusing our consciousness right now that is activating the innate intelligence of the heart space. Just keep focusing on your heart, focusing on your heart. The guides are bringing in galactic energy now to marry with our focus that's coming from within our bodies. And activating the intelligence of the collective heart and the galactic heart. And just feel yourself held in that space for a moment. Feeling yourself held in a space of galactic love, unity, oneness. holding it. The more we hold our awareness and we hold these feelings, our bandwidth for miracles is increasing. So just hold all of your awareness here for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And thank you for receiving that transmission. Man, I love you all. Thank you for having me back. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Like I said at the beginning, you rock. Thank you so much. So wonderful having you always. I'm beyond your.
All right. Have a great
All right,
night.
y'all. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I love y'all. Thank you for being in our lives. Thank you for being in our community. Thank you for being family. And yeah, just bowing down to each and every one of you. I look forward to seeing you on the next call.